Next Halloween, when the sun sets and someone is alone, he kills.
Welcome, trick-or-treaters, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast with Dylan and Akram, where we celebrate all your favorite horror movies and entertainment and pop culture. We are getting into the mood of spooky season with a killer review of the latest installment of the Halloween franchise, Halloween Kills, the sequel to Halloween 2018 and directed by David Gordon Green. We've got a lot of opinions on this movie, and so does everyone else apparently. There's a mass divide amongst audiences. Some people either like it a lot or they think it's the worst film in the series. All I'm gonna say is the boogeyman is back with a vengeance you have never seen before. They upped the gore in this movie far more than any Halloween movie you've seen so far. Akram, before we get into spoilers, I'm just curious to know what you thought of it in general, coming from someone who's not a big follower of the franchise. Tell me your opinion of it overall.
I liked it a lot, to be honest with you. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought the imagery was really strong. It definitely was such a slasher film in a sense that like so many people died. It was brutal. It didn't hold back. And I think I'm on the end where for Halloween films, I'm kind of like indifferent. I've never really been a big fan, but for this film and the last film too, I felt like they did a great job, especially setting tone and just the imagery alone. And I think that Michael Myers here is definitely, for sure, a badass. So I really had fun with this one.
I think badass is an understatement. I think this man went Omni-Man on Haddonfield. They gotta send like the Punisher to get him or some shit after
Oh, that
this
would be great.
movie.
That would be a good crossover.
They gotta get Batman or Homelander or somebody. But yes, I think David Gordon Green made a lot of great choices with this movie. It definitely feels like a different movie from the original 1970 movie. Because in that one there wasn't as much gore. It was kind of like a theater of the mind thing where they kind of left your imagination to fill in the gaps. But here it's like no bars held. Like you see every kill that happens, and Michael is like so creative with kills in this movie. It was like Friday the 13th on like steroids, but it was classy, right? It was like it wasn't too much. It was just enough, right, to make it feel like shock value, right? I guess we should start from the beginning. So Michael. Well, first we start with Frank, the cop, right? And I'm so glad that they brought his character back because I liked him a lot in the first
Same.
Halloween.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
I was kind of mad when they killed him off, quote unquote, in the first movie. So I'm glad that they brought him back. And then we see a flashback, which I love the flashbacks in this movie so much. I think anyone who really like loves the franchise will really appreciate this. So they do a flashback scene of the original 1978 movie, and this is right after Dr. Loomis shoots Michael and he falls off the balcony, and then it's just like him walking off, and then you see like a young Frank trying to chase him down. And also I just love like whenever he shoots Michael, he just walks off so casually and it's still missing.
I know, even like in
It's
the
so
last film,
stupid.
yeah.
Like this man just like walks at like 2 miles an hour and still like dodges like every bullet. I just love it. But yeah, it was just, and the cinematography for that, like the way they showed like the flashbacks, it really felt like you were like really like in that time or like that era of filmmaking, right?
So
Just the
filmic,
way they
yeah,
presented it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Honestly, great technique.
Yeah, I don't know if they like used like the old cameras for that or there was just like a special effect or something, but it just looked great like on cameras, like seeing like if they did it in like if they kept the same cinematography for the flashbacks as the present day, it kind of would have felt like weird. But the fact that they really like made it like that, it felt like a shift in time, right? Um, so we see Frank and his partner trying to hunt down Michael, and they go back to Michael's house, and so basically so Frank actually almost was able to kill Michael, or no, he had the chance, right? So so what was it? They well, first the partner goes upstairs, and then he's looking out the window, and then also I just love every time like you think Michael's not gonna be there, or like you think he's there, he's actually there. Because like the way he rushes him in the movies is like, because I knew he was gonna come from the side, right? Because you saw like the cop looking out the window, and then you saw like the closet, and then I was like, is Michael gonna be in the closet? And then sure enough, he was there, and it still shocked me for some. So I love like the tension that this movie really plays with. But yeah, and so Michael then takes the partner, and then Frank has the choice to either shoot Michael, but then like shoot his partner, right? So he takes the gamble, and then he shoots his partner, unfortunately, and then Michael still escapes, right? And I love that shot they did, like when they zoomed out, and Michael's like confronted with all the cops, and that he's like surrounded, but it's still like so disturbing, like with the music.
Yeah, and
It
the
just like
voices were
zooms out.
distorted. Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
cool.
and then just zooms out, right? And he's just like standing there, like menacingly, like he knows he's caught, but it's just like it's so disturbing with the music. I just loved it so much. I love that shot. So Frank actually could have like let Mike, because Loomis then puts Michael on the ground, right? And he's about to shoot his head, and then Frank makes the decision. Well, like I guess he just has like pity for Mike or something, and then he just like stops Doctor Loomis from shooting, which I thought was kind of like, you mentioned this earlier, like about suspending your disbelief. I kind of found it hard that he would stop Doctor Loomis from killing Michael, especially after he just saw his partner die. But I guess I could understand where they were going with it, because I guess like it was kind of like playing with morality. I guess. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I before this review, I actually went back to watch the first Halloween film, and then Halloween 2018, and then Halloween Kills. And I understand the whole thing about Halloween. It's like you really had to suspend your disbelief because, like I told you before, like I would have just had a shotgun and shot him right there in the head, you know. But it's
Well, obviously that wouldn't have worked because he smacked it out the girl's.
right, I know. But like that's the thing. I find it hard sometimes to believe certain things, and I'm the type of person where it's kind of hard to like. I could suspend my disbelief a lot, right? But if I force it, then I start having qualms with whatever I'm watching, right? So, but with this, just the embodiment of evil, I understand that Michael is. Um, I think that this movie definitely went into the more uh, metaphoric or mythological aspects of it. I know there was a film, I believe, called The Curse of Michael Myers, that the director said that this wasn't inspired by that per se. He's still human, but he still can be um, in the embodiment of evil, right? And there's a way that he could get through. Kind of like it kind of reminds me of Kill Bill, right? Like she should have died, right? But it's just like that revenge, that anger, like kept her alive in a way. Like she pops up, so she has that one goal in her head.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like the same thing that happens with him, except he was, I guess, a bad egg since the start, right? So because again, like if it was up, like I would have, damn, if that guy is like, if Michael's like a fucking supervillain, right? Just called a U.S. Marines or some shit, right? But
Right.
it's like, I understand because it's more of, I look at it and it kind of reminds me a lot of like, which is weird to compare this to, but like a Shakespearean play or something like that, where it's like there's all this tragedy and you have these characters and it's a small town, right? And they're just trying to deal with it in a way, and it feels very, it feels like a metaphor almost. So that's why I enjoyed this film because he really did feel like he's unstoppable. He's just this force of nature, right? He wears the mask, his simple clothes, right?
Mhm.
He's not a person, really. He's just evil. And so I understand why certain things happen in the film. Um, and yeah, like I would have let Dr. Loomis, right, shoot Michael, obviously, but
I would let us shoot him like dead, like point blank. Like I feel like, and they're like you said, they are playing with the mythology of Michael Myers, right? I feel like every scene in the beginning was just like talking about like the bar scene, right? So they were kind of setting the tone with the bar scene, right? Where Tommy, who's actually the younger kid in the first movie, but he's grown up now. Um, he's kind of like playing on the urban legend of Michael Myers, right? He's like, what, like 20 years ago we had to deal with this, and we're still remembering it, right? So it is kind of like a Shakespearean tragedy in a way. Um, and I love that they were incorporating the whole town as opposed to just like what Lori and the daughter, right? So it's kind of involving everybody now, right? Because Michael is a part of this community, whether they like it or not. So and he's just terrorizing this whole town, and it's I like the mob mentality they were playing with in this movie. I feel like if they had, because see, a lot of people have a problem with the mob subplot. I personally liked it because I feel like if it had just been about Mike just going around these houses and killing people, right? It would have just been a rehash of the first one, right? There wouldn't have been like anything deeper or like different, right? Especially if you got like a trilogy going on with this movie, and then you got Halloween Ends, I guess is the third one. Um, it would have felt like filler, right? But I think like the mob mentality theme, kind of made it stand alone from the first movie.
Yeah, I think that what's cool, and a lot of people may not understand, but I'm sure hardcore fans will understand this. With Michael Myers, it's a lot of psychological terror, like you said before, right? And it's also playing with cameras, right? And then also playing with the music, and there's a psychology behind it, right? That's why Dr. Loomis and the other guy from 2018's Halloween, they had such a prominent role, because he doesn't speak, right? So it's just this embodiment of something. And how can you play with that? Well, you also affect the townspeople, right? And I thought that it was so interesting to see everything become so archaic. Like it reminded me so much of like I guess like for some reason like Passion of the Christ or something like. It's so weird, right? Because it's very like it's very spiritual in a way, and from the outside you don't really think about that, but if you really try to deep dive into it, you see that it has a lot of references to like certain things, or at least the emotion, right? So like the townspeople, they went against that poor crazy guy, and it wasn't him, right? And obviously everyone was like, do you have people? It wasn't him. It wasn't him. And like no one's listening, right? It's just this angry mob. It kind of reminds me of like Frankenstein or something like that, right? Funny enough that there was like pitchforks here too.
Right.
But
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the psychology of it, because I
yeah,
always, because Laurie in the movie says that Michael was the one that started all this, right? I feel like no, I feel like it's a domino effect, right? Because I feel like Michael, he may be the embodiment of evil, but I feel like Michael is just a force of nature, right? He is what he is. You don't try to understand. It's like trying to like understand why the weather is the weather does, right? You just have to like predict it and then just go with the flow. But the people in this movie, I feel like they were the biggest threat to themselves, right? It's like the kind of like they were their own evil in a way, right? Because so look how all this started, right? It wasn't because Michael escaped on his own, right? There were elements that made it happen for his escape, right? So like the psychiatrist, right? The dude from the first movie, he was the one that really started all this. And I guess you could go deeper and say like the podcasters were not
us.
involved, but
Maybe, I don't know.
the British podcasters,
We need the clout.
when they showed him his mask too. So I guess you could say that's an extension of that. But really,
Great
and
point.
Tommy also, because he's playing on the fears of these townspeople, I feel like he started that whole uh chasing down that poor mental patient, right? So it's kind of like it's speaking a lot about like today's society and how, especially like coming out of a pandemic and everybody's just like so in fear. You could even go further and say like it's uh when you think about like acts of terrorism, right? The Iraq war, you could say, is like the ultimate uh psychological impact of that. But getting back to the film, so yeah, I feel like the townspeople themselves were like the biggest threat, I guess you could say, to themselves.
Great point. Yeah, absolutely. I also like the whole thing about him returning home too. Wanted to highlight that too because he always returns home. Like most of his kills, I guess if you were sick enough, you would say you would consider him as an artist or something, with the posing and whatnot. But like killing those two, that couple there in his own house, I would say it's seems kind of passionate, and I would say killing the Karen, right, killing her at the end was almost like a revenge or something like that. I'm not too sure. Um, sometimes his kills come off as like very creative in a way and brutal, but like I felt like when he poses some people and that type of manner, I feel like it's in his way, it's kind of like a passion. Um, and
Well, in the first movie, he also was creative
yeah,
in the way he killed, right? Remember, forget the one chick. Remember he took the tombstone of his sister,
yeah,
and then he put it over the chick, when he killed
yeah,
her in the bed.
yep.
So he is in that regard, like I think he thinks of like death as like an art form in
Yeah.
a way, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny is like if you look at graffiti artists and it's so weird, right? Isn't it so cool that we're both comparing like Michael Myers to like so many different things like
I
Shakespeare?
don't think cool is the right word for it.
Something's wrong with us.
Interesting. I would say.
Yes. Well, it's like graffiti artists usually like if they're well known or something, they would cover themselves, like they'll wear masks and
Mhm,
stuff like that, right? So in a way, he's like an artist in his own way.
mhm.
So, but yeah,
I
very
think it was
interesting.
really nice that he left the recording on when he when he posed the gay couple.
Sh-
At least he was nice enough to do that.
Should have put that Halloween thing that
Right.
once no 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 no
He
no.
he puts his own theme song. He's like, "Da-da-da-da."
I love the music in this. That's one thing I want to spotlight. It's like the
The
music.
music was amazing.
Oh my god! Like when that mental patient like was gonna kill himself, that song
Mhm.
was just like so endearing. I love that song. Like I loved
There was
everything for the
there
soundtrack.
was a track in the first one, the 2018 one, where it was like it was the main theme, and then there was like a rock bass to it, so it was like this really like low score. It was like "Da-da-da-da," so it was like kind of like menacing. So I love that they're playing with like the synth theme, but they're adapting it to what the story portrays, right?
Yeah, it's so cool. What do you think about Lori in this film? Obviously, she's recovering. What do you think about?
So it's interesting because she ends up back in the hospital, which in the original sequel, Halloween 2, she was in the hospital right after Michael terrorized her in her house. So this sequel draws a lot of similarities to the original sequel, even though it's retcon technically. But um, yeah, Laurie didn't have too much spotlight in this movie other than just like a few dialogue scenes, but I feel like they're saving her for the final movie, Halloween Ends. I think she's just kind of like there as just like, I don't know, just like describing what Michael is, right? Like the conversation between her and Frank. They're kind of like these veterans of trauma, I guess. Um, but I mean, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. Like every scene she's in, she's awesome.
Oh yeah, she's a great actress. Very raw here. Um, yeah, I love her in this. What do you think? Also, coming from because you watched the other Halloween films, right? So you're well versed in Halloween lore, I would say. How do you think this compares to the 2018 Halloween and then the other Halloweens from back then? Is there any references or anything we should be aware of?
You know, it's when you look back at all the movies that have been made, right? I feel like I don't know, they each kind of have their own quirk to it. The main difference with each movie is just director's choice, right? So I really enjoyed this movie and the one before, the 2018 one. Um, they add a lot of like comedic elements to this movie. I think more than like previous movies actually, because the other ones are like so dark in tone. Um, but I think this one they were just kind of like trying to find a way to adapt it to like our times, right? And at times the comedy does come off as like really like cheesy or moronic in a way. Like the dad in the beginning when he's playing with the fucking yo-yo when he should be watching the or like when the two dudes are like talking about like fucking bomby sandwich or something. It was so stupid. Or like the lady like in this movie when she's like playing with it. She's like what, fucking 70 and she's playing with drones. I'm like, that's like you said, you kind of have to suspend
That's
your
us.
disbelief. But but I feel like it kind of balances out the gore and the darkness of the movie a bit. That I mean, I understand why some people don't like that choice. But then again, it is a slasher flick, right? There's gonna be people who do stupid shit. Um, but I mean, going back to the original film, I feel like they really expand on the mythology of Michael Myers, and they don't try to like explain his motives like the other sequels did, like in Curse of Michael Myers with the fucking cult shit. I hated that so much. I never liked that explanation. I kind of like the mystery of Michael not understanding why he does, like, just representing him as just evil, right? That's why he does what he does. So they're kind of flirting with that idea a bit in this movie. I don't know if they're gonna reveal it in the final movie, but I kind of hope that they keep that air of mystery around him.
Well, just to preface also that the final film apparently is going to have a time jump of 4 years. And so we're going to see some of the returning characters. I wonder what's going to happen with Laurie. I wonder what's going to happen with her granddaughter. And where has Michael been? Maybe he's working on Subway or something like that. In the meantime, waiting
He's working out at the gym, waiting for next year.
Right, just the Batman workout montage. But yeah, it's definitely going to end. I can't wait to see that. Unless they want to keep milking the horse and another reboot. I hope not. Some things I think will, because it kind of defeats the purpose of what happened here. Obviously, this is from the original Halloween, and I think that the whole series, because everything other things are retcon, right? So I think like from Halloween 1978, and then I think 1978, and then Halloween 2018, and Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. I feel like it's very cohesive, right? I really do enjoy that. There's a clear narrative. It's not so outrageous. It's really, in a way, small scale, right? But the ideas of him is like really huge. Where do you think that we could go? Like, what do you think will happen in Halloween Ends? Like, you think anything else will come from like the previous movies, like to kind of, kind of give
I
influence?
honestly don't know what they could do. I mean, I feel like when you watch so many of the movies, it's kind of like everything's been done already. And I kind of wish that they didn't reveal that there was going to be two more sequels. I mean, I like that we had two more sequels. I did like the first one, so I like that they're still keeping it fresh. But I feel like knowing that there was going to be a third movie kind of diluted this movie a bit for me, because I kind of like when the mob catches Michael, and then they're giving him the South Philly beatdown, um, and then he goes Negan on Tommy after. I feel like I thought he was gonna die, or like or they were gonna at least like lock him back up in jail or some shit. But then knowing that there was gonna be a third movie, I was like, well, obviously they can't do that, right? Because he has to come back somehow, unless they do like a fucking cop out, like they did in a Curse of Michael Myers, where they make like the niece or the daughter like the next Michael Myers. It would have been stupid, right? I wouldn't have liked that. Um, but I don't know. I mean, that's interesting that you said there was gonna be a time jump. I didn't know about that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he goes underground. Maybe he's hunting Laurie Strode down. Maybe Laurie Strode's hunting him down. Remember, because they were at the end, they were looking at the window, kind of like almost indirectly at each other, because they know they're still out there. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I can't wait. I am a big fan of like the newer films. I did like 2018's Halloween, just because the tone and everything's set in place. I'll show.
Yeah. What did you?
Yeah.
What were like your favorite scenes from the movie, or like what did you like most about the movie?
Yeah, so I'm not like a big like, oh, I love seeing people die. I'm not like like I'm more into the psychological aspects and mythological aspects, right? Like we were speaking earlier. And I just felt like the ending, honestly, like even if I had to suspend my disbelief a lot, that really gave me a clue. Like, yeah, he in a way he definitely is more than a man. I like the ending, like the song. Like if Iko Uwais from the Raid was there, it would have been like 100% for me. Like it's like Iko Uwais and Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men were there. It's like the most.
Honestly, that's who you're gonna have to send to get Michael after this movie.
No, it's
the body count. Like I'm so like I love the body count in this movie. They really did the name justice, right? Because it is about Michael Myers giving the crackdown on Halloween. So because if Michael had just like killed like two people, I'd been like, what? That's all you're giving me? But no, he went ham on this whole town. Like he spared nobody, children, elderly. He did not give a fuck who he killed, right? Um, and just like the way he was killing people was crazy. Just like who would have thought that like a fluorescent light bulb could be a fucking weapon, right? A fucking 12-watt like neon light bulb like stabbed through the neck. Like he was just like so creative with it. And then like even him like testing the knives on the dude, like cuz he was testing how sharp the knives were right when he was stabbing him in the back. At first I was like, what was he doing? I was like, is he trying to like just like kill the like beat a dead horse or some shit? Like but no, he was testing the knives to see how sharp they were. So I liked like those little subtle like things like that the director uh made. Just like it just added so much to the movie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I definitely like the ending. The score, it was just so badass when he picks up the mask. I feel like that's like the most subtle but like badass thing when he picks up the iconic mask. Yeah. So, what would you rate this film?
Out of 10, I would give it a solid 9.
And in
Uh,
comparison to like 2018's Halloween, like which one do you think fares best to the whole series? I guess.
I feel like the first one was a little bit too comedic for me, and I didn't like that too much. There was just like times where like the characters were like doing stupid shit, and it kind of like threw the story off for me. But this one I appreciated much more. I feel like they were doing a lot more like smarter choices. Like even if they were doing dumb choices, like and there was like some moments that made me laugh too, not because they were like like the jokes worked better in this movie, I think, even if they were unintentional. Like I love the one scene where the lady's like, "This is for Dr. Loomis," and then she just like misfires.
Oh
Dr.
my
Loomis is
god!
like looking up from him like, this bitch. Like, you should have left my name out your mouth.
I don't know, such a facepalm moment.
Or like like when the dude like goes back for his stethoscope and shit. I'm like, really? That's what you're gonna fucking go back for? I'm like, also I love that they didn't like show like the mental patient in the car. Cause like there was like times where it's like, cause like the whole time you're watching this movie, you're like, where the fuck is Michael? Like, is he like in the shadows? Is he like in the house? Is he in your car? Right? Because there was one scene in the original movie where like Michael does like hide in the back of the car, and then he like strangles the teenage girl. Um, so I think they were kind of like playing with that idea in this one. But the fact that it was the mental patient, I like that they did that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of great choice in this movie. But yeah, like I said, the internet is divided. A lot of hardcore fans really didn't appreciate it. Jeremy Johns on YouTube like fucking hated it, and then like I think like Chris Stuckman thought it was like an okay film.
Yeah, he was
How would
indifferent.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, how would you rank it?
As a newcomer to Halloween and compared to 2018, obviously the original is the original. For me, I like the original. Obviously, I would say it didn't like age too well, but it set like a, I guess, a benchmark or something like that, right? So like this is how Halloween should feel and tone. Um, I would give it a 9 because I enjoyed it, right? I had fun with it. Um, and I like the ideas they were playing with. I don't really agree with certain things, like about suspending my disbelief, but that's just like a Halloween
Hmm.
thing in general, right? Um, the guy's walking around. You know what I mean? Everyone has like gats out of everywhere, like in the closet and a kitchen drawer, right? But like no one uses it. But it's like it is what it is. That's Halloween for you, right?
Hmm.
So if I take that into account, I did enjoy it. I thought that the imagery again was really stunning. Musical score, cinematography, and filmic flashbacks. Everything
Hmm.
melded together into one product. I felt like it definitely holds up pretty well, and I can't wait for Halloween ends. Yeah.
Definitely, I totally agree. Yeah, it holds up really well. I like the themes that they were playing with too. Like tell me like Evil Dies Tonight doesn't sound like Stop the Steal, like in
Yes.
a way. October 31st is just January 6th in Haddonfield. But yeah, I mean, that about concludes our episode for today, guys. We hope you enjoyed our review of Halloween Kills. Please give this episode a like and a share to support the channel, and be sure to follow us on wherever you're listening to for more content like this. And if you want to get us to know us more, you can follow us on our social media accounts, which are tagged at the end of this video and in the description. Until next time, happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween.